One of my best friends is named Brooke Castillo, and Brooke Castillo is a master of the mind. She is a life coach, but she's a life coach who makes $50 million a year and helps other coaches and entrepreneurs make millions of dollars. She's one of my best friends. And she has this way of describing mindset as like a fire. And she says, your beliefs are like a fire, and your thoughts are the logs that we put onto the fire. And you can feed whatever belief, whatever fire you want with more thoughts. And the thing that I see a lot of my audience struggle with, just read my YouTube comments, is people who say, that's easy for you to say, or must be nice for them, or they got in at the right time. And the thing is, none of those things are necessarily wrong, but they are certainly not helpful logs. They certainly don't build the fire that make people successful. But if you were to choose the belief consciously, if you were to actually say, I'm going to look for evidence that making $1 million is easy, or starting a profitable business is easy. I know I don't believe it now, but I'm gonna choose to look for those thoughts. You can find evidence for that. I did this challenge just a couple weeks ago where I was helping my students, there were 500 of them. I gave them 5 days, 5 lessons to help them completely map out their $1 million business. So that at the end of 5 days, they had no excuse of saying like, I don't know what my idea is, I don't know what my launch plan is. They had the plan written out. And I gave them this assignment during part of the challenge. I said, I want you to say out loud, I can do this. Because what that does is it trains the brain to go look for evidence of that belief. So it's this thing called consistency bias. And consistency bias says that when you say something or when you believe something, your brain has to go out and find evidence for it. So if you believe that you can making $1 million is easy, you go find evidence of that. You go find thoughts for that. And my students who I gave this challenge to were finding evidence every day that they can do this. So what I want to do for the rest of this video is just give you evidence that you can choose. And now here's how you'll know what state of mind you're in. If I tell you the story of someone who overcame obstacles and made millions of dollars, you'll have one of two reactions. You'll either say, well, nice for them, but not for me. That means you don't believe it. Or you say, if they can do it, so can I. Which means you're in a much better space mindset-wise for it to actually happen. Because it's very rare that people are surprised. I didn't expect it to work, and it worked. That's rare. It is more, I wanted it to work. I worked really hard, and it was slow at first, and we had some failures. We had some bumps along the way, and it worked. Like, it took work, but we found our way there. So I want to tell you a couple stories of people. The first story that I want to share with you is a guy named Jared Springer. Jared was literally crippled and bankrupt when he started his business. And he found our work, saw the model, 4 products, 25 sales a day, $30. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. But I don't have money for inventory. I don't have money for a team. And so he was fulfilling the products from his garage with his hands until he had enough money to be able to invest in the things he needed to invest in. He ran that business for 4 years, sold it, had a 7-figure exit, and now just helps other entrepreneurs. He's one of our coaches inside of our programs. Next story I want to share with you is a woman named Leah. Now, Leah was an entrepreneur who wasn't happy. She was burnt out. She was wanting something different. She's a full-time entrepreneur, modestly successful, but in that mode of like it's never gonna work again, I'm never gonna be free again, what do I do now? And so she documented her entire business inside of our mentoring community called the 1%. She documented it, posted on Facebook about it, showed the products, showed the sales, showed the launch, showed what was working and what wasn't working. And she came out of the gates with like $3,000 in sales, which some people would say, not $1 million business, you failed. And she was like, oh no, really good step one, really good first step. Until it got to $50,000 a month. Still not $1 million business. She was like, great, next step. Then she had, I think she had her first 6-figure month next. And then it was like a $200,000 a month. And it kept going from there, and now it's a multi-million-dollar business. Selling candles. Same product as everybody else, but to a different person, which in my opinion is the best way to differentiate. Not with your product, but on the person that you target. That was Leah. The last story that I want to tell you about is Jason Franziosa. Here's a guy who put his last $3 grand on a credit card to buy a training from us, which by the way, I never recommend anybody do, but he did it. And he started selling weightlifting belts, which very, very saturated market. And Jason had every reason to quit. He had manufacturing delays, and then he got laid off from his job, and negative reviews. Like, he had every reason to stop, but he just kept going. And it took him 2 years to have his first $80,000 a month, which would be $1 million business. And at that time, we got on a podcast. We did a one-on-one together. I recorded it, and I gave him some pointers of what he should do next. That next year, his business doubled. The year after that, it doubled again. And he recently told me that this year it's projected to double again. So it went from 1 to 2 to 4 to pacing $8 million. This guy who had $3,000 and nothing left, bunch of business failures in the past, and he won. And the best part is he freaking loves his business. Freaking loves it. Doesn't want to sell it. Doesn't want to hand it off to somebody. Just wants to keep running it because he freaking loves it. Now, if you're listening to any of these stories and you're like, must be nice or good timing, you ain't ready. It's fine. It's fine. But you will not see the evidence for it until you choose to see it. People think rich people are evil because they have that belief and they find more evidence for it. People think that making money is easy because they believe it and they find more evidence for it. People think that they can do it because they choose to believe it and then they find evidence for it. So you see evidence for what you believe, not the other way around. And we usually come to our beliefs because of an emotion, not because of evidence, because of fear or excitement or love or grief. That's how we get to our beliefs. And then we find evidence to verify that we were correct in those experiences. For you, can you just choose to believe that you can do it? Can you just choose to believe that there's lots and lots of proof that you can be a multimillionaire? Because if you can do that, then you'll find evidence everywhere and you'll be off to the races. If you want some help, we have a free video series. It's called The Perfect Business. It's a 4-part series. It's free. You can find it somewhere around this video. Just click that, watch the videos. It will give you my model. It's my model that I like to teach, that I've seen work for a lot of entrepreneurs. And if you like it, you can do it. If you don't like it, subscribe to the channel anyway. I'm Moran with capitalism.com. Thanks for going for a walk with me.